Roger, let's talk more about this place.
Give Tom a big round. So you talk about a variety of examples, and you showed us what's happening. Last night over dinner, you said that One Stone was one of the best design thinking schools, if not the best design thinking school model in America. Why is that? What do they do here?
So two-part answer to this question. So I want to back up and answer the question, like, why design thinking? What is that about? Like, why would you make that central to a school? So we're living in a world, globalization, automation, urbanization. Our kids are going to see more change in their lifetimes by an order of magnitude than Roger and I have experienced. And when I think about living on this exponential technology curve, and in particular living with machine intelligence, working with smart machines, the one gift that I think we can give to young people is helping them develop navigational skills. I don't know, but I'm confident that I know how to attack, right? It's the humility to embrace all the change and ambiguity, but the confidence to say, I have skills. And the young people here learn a process they call design thinking. They call it 51ing it, because it might take 51 tries to get it right. But it's a set of attack skills for how to address uncertainty. And I think that is probably the most important set of skills that we can give to young people, the confidence to know how to attack new and complicated systems. So what's really special about One Stone is this is not a place that was thought up overnight to win an XQ grant, like a bunch of schools were recently. This is a place that has an 8-year history of working with Treasure Valley students in an intimate way and teaching this design thinking process. And so it was both the process and the culture that was developed over a long period of time in a really artful way that has become central to this school. So that student-centered culture and the really thoughtful process approach of how to attack really big problems in a constructive, efficient, thoughtful way makes this one of the most important schools in the world.
I think we could applause to that, Teresa. Yeah. You know, it's dawning on me that I'm asking you questions that I could probably get any One Stone student up here that they could answer about. What do they actually do
No
here?
question.
But I think we're interested in, from your lens, having traveled the world and looked at all these things intimately and studied them and really identified the best models, maybe what's your insight on some of that? So what I'm hopeful for is, I know some of you have some questions for Tom, and will you just raise your hand if anything that's coming up in the forefront about this building, your experience, your thoughts about his presentation. Does anyone have a question on that? Because I can keep going all day if you want me to. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So questions are around wellness and fitness. So as I get older, I gain humility from all the things that I've screwed up. You know, one of them was my sort of culpability with NCLB, and I think back to the last 20 years of standards-based reform and how we got so focused on a set of equity issues and adding measurement to the system. And what happened was we locked down a really traditional approach and got it more focused on an old and bad set of measures. And it had all sorts of negative consequences. And that included sort of pushing out play and recess and wellness and physical education. We got really myopic on a set of issues for good reasons, but for a long time we've been going the wrong direction. So what I'm really excited about, what's happening in America today, is this, I would say, twofold trend towards habits of mind, or mindsets, how we think about ourselves and the work that we're doing, and our social emotional skills, how we manage our time, our social awareness, how we navigate social settings. And around the country, school districts and states are really taking that seriously and making it central to the school experience. We're beginning to see, it's behind that, it's not as big a wave as that, but a commensurate focus on wellness and fitness. I think it's stronger in the corporate space right now, because a lot of business leaders find that people that are healthier are just more productive. They come to work more often and they're more productive. But I do think these two things are coming together and creating better places to work and learn. So thanks for mentioning that. I didn't give too many examples. One of the examples I cut was a little network of blended high schools that have a gym, and every student has a personal trainer. And so part of your day is a fitness routine, some time with your trainer, adding tracking and data, right, and looking at that. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that in the very near future.
Yeah, well, let's go over here first, Tony, and then we'll come over to you. You have to talk loud, Tony. Just yell it.
So as you think about the individual,
It's not. It's the traditional prep program is not preparing teachers to be successful in these environments. There's very few examples. Even new purpose-built programs, you know, they're often linked to old prescriptive models, old meaning like 5 or 10-year-old models, and not these schools. So inadequately is the short answer. But two-part answer. One is these schools, like One-Stone, are hiring sort of wonderfully diverse people, both with traditional backgrounds and non-traditional backgrounds, and making the best of, taking the best of that. But I would say that Singapore American story is really important, because that was a very traditional faculty focused on a very narrow definition of success in a test prep environment, and they've turned that ship, and it's been faculty-led, and it's because faculty members went out to schools, and then they built these personal learning communities inside that structure, and they talked about, what did you see? Here's what I saw. What are we going to do about it? What could we do better next week, and then what could we do differently next year? So improvement and innovation, all faculty-led. So everybody can do this, right? It for some places are going to be on a fast lane, and some places are going to be on a slow lane. I'm writing a paper right now on leadership development to lead, schools that want to be more than we've had, and I think that's super important.
Okay, thanks. Blossom?
Yeah.
We could be here for like 2 weeks talking about that topic. You're going to have to think of 3 things that you can share.
Jamie, where's the guy that's doing the micro school? Was it
He's here.
Jake? Jack? Yeah. So he's doing a new acting academy, which is going to be really cool. Keep an eye on him. So we were talking about cottage class, which is I wrote a blog on this yesterday on Getting Smart. It's a site for micro schools in Brooklyn. These are little tiny schools with teacherpreneurs. So one teacher, 10, 15 kids. It can be a full-time school. It can be an after school. It can be art on Saturday. But it's creating a marketplace for teachers to market really cool programs. So this is one example of a movement that I think you'll see is more teacher-led schools that are facilitated by these sorts of marketplaces. The second thing, I'm writing a book that I can talk about more about later on networks, school networks. So I think school networks are super important because building these environments is really, really hard, right? It takes tremendous vision to understand the kind of learning experiences that can transform lives, and then to construct an IT stack, a set of systems from student devices all the way to learning platforms, and integrating that stack with a set of learning experiences, and then back to your question, that how do we create on-ramps for adults, adult learning experiences that match the student learning experiences with technology. So school networks are building that structure. Some of them are managed networks, like charter school networks, but there are others like New Tech Network that is public schools that are working together in a national network, and they share a platform and a set of practices and opportunities for teachers to learn together. So I think it will be those networks where you'll see the most innovation, where they begin to bring AI and machine intelligence into their platform, where those platforms start to become more adaptive, and where there's smart recommendations, and where kids are getting nudges, and like, Jared, you didn't do the assignment. Dude, you got to get that to me. So you'll have a smart platform that's helping a smart coach get the most out of young people like Jared. So I'm super excited about where this is all headed. We're drafting, about 5 years behind consumer internet and all the consumer applications of AI, but you can look at that stuff and squint and sort of imagine what school will be like 2 or 3 years from now, and it's going to be cool.
Okay, so these One-Stone students don't get grades. They don't have class periods. They don't have bells. They have an academic portfolio. They're not accredited currently. And one of the goals is to open doors for them to walk through wherever they want to walk through when they're done here. If you're an institution of higher ed, how receptive, in your opinion, is that group going to be to the graduates of this school?
We are living in a show what you know world. Degrees matter a lot less than they did when we went to school. What employers want to know is, what can you do? I want to see it. I want to know people that can vouch for you and the work you've done. So portfolio, a network, a set of references, a verifiable set of work experiences is what employers want. And increasingly, colleges and universities are following in their footsteps. And any college worth going to will be happy to take a One-Stone portfolio, because it will be an example of an extraordinary body of work documented in much more complete ways than is true in a typical environment. So I'm very confident that the young people here are going to be really well prepared for college and work, and that any college worth going to will be happy to take them. They don't want to go to a school that is too hung up on a traditional transcript. They just wouldn't fit there anyway.
Okay, yes.
You have the ability to start over from scratch in a
No, I'm a portfolio guy. So that's why I'm going from here to Denver, and I'm bringing a big crew from from El Paso to Denver to see what a big city where the leadership is committed to high quality options in every neighborhood. So Denver is trying to create great school district schools like Grant Beacon, and that school is now a network. So there's the other middle schools that are working with them, but they're also working with DSST, which now has 11 schools in the community. So what my hope would be is that every family has some really high-quality, interesting options. I want every family to have access to dual language, full immersion, dual language, preferably in the language of their choice. I would love to see, sort of an art and design focus. I'd love to see really good career and technical education options in the upper division. And I love Great Hearts in Phoenix is kind of a low-tech, classic books approach. For some families, it's really awesome, and they're having really, really deep conversation about what it means to be human in the world today. So I love schools like that. So I like to see an appropriate variety of quality schools.
And then I go back to is one better than the other? Is one model in the portfolio better than the other? And for me, it always lands
Well,
on,
I'd send my kids here, but
yeah, is it, relevancy is typically the thing that's missing in school.
no question. I mean, we have an epidemic of boredom. If you went and did some empathy research with a typical high schooler in Treasure Valley and went to a math class, you would see pain. I mean, it just hurts for most high school kids to sit through math because it's awful, right? And most science we've made science boring, and it's criminal.
Okay, one more, maybe two if we get quick.
All right. Yeah, it's a combination of those. But here's I think the cool, relevant, quick observation. I've run 300 community conversations around the United States where my mentor was Tony Wagner, and when I was a brand new superintendent, he said, go to a community meeting, ask 3 questions. How has the world changed since you were in school? As a result, what do you think young people need to know and be able to do? And what kinds of learning experiences are going to help them build those knowledge, skills, and dispositions? Without fail, in rich communities and poor communities, the answers are very, very good, very thoughtful, and I think build a foundation to create schools like this. So I think I now trust a community process that would result in a set of agreements that could make possible really good, perhaps diverse schools.
Okay, one last one. Yes.
I would, seriously, I would call off class next week and come here and just interview kids. Because every student here could tell you both personal stories about their learning here, but describe very articulately their approach to design thinking. I mean, that would be the best class of the year. So field trips for me, school visits have been life-changing. And there's nothing short of getting out to a place and seeing what it feels like and it smells like and experiencing how people treat each other and how they talk to each other. So anything that you can do to help facilitate school visits so that they can go see schools, particularly schools doing interesting things, would be the most important prep. I have a great podcast with Seth Andrew, who started Democracy Prep. And then he went to the White House. He just left the White House as a tech advisor. Really good podcast. I said, Seth, what got you ready to build incredible schools? And he said, I got a degree at Harvard, and it sucked. It didn't prepare me to do anything to create a good school. He said, I had a school coach that was pretty good, but I visited a lot of schools, and that's what made all the difference. So when people like that tell me that it's really made a difference to go see, things that are new and different, I think that's a great answer.
Let's give Tom a big round of applause for being here today.
It was fun.